Hey guys, it's Courtney here, and I apologize ahead of time for the noise. I just turned the heat on up here over my studio. We had some issues with the unit over the past couple months, and so we haven't really been able to keep it on, and it's been quite cool. So it was very cold up here when I first got up here. It's gotten a little bit warmer now. So I'm going to keep that running so I don't freeze. And I also apologize because I'm kind of cramped up here in this one spot. I'm a little frustrated because my studio is also shared with like things that are like seasonal decoration and stuff. It's almost like a storage area as well as my studio, and because of the recent change from like fall stuff to Christmas stuff, all of the fall stuff is just piled around, and so my little section is kind of squeezed together, which I'm not really happy about, but my family hasn't had a chance to put things away. So we're just going to have to deal with that for today. And the reason why I'm making this video, I'm going to back this up just a little bit. Sorry for the earthquake. We are going to be assembling Miss Sydney Rose, finally. I've been working on her for several months, and for those of you who have asked about getting a custom from me, just an FYI, I don't typically do customs. Very, very, very rarely. I might take some on at some point. The reason why I don't is for the reason that you can understand. It takes me so long to make one because I do unfortunately have a lot of health issues, including like anxiety and all that as well. So physical, and then some, I guess, things like that will prevent me from being able to work on dolls, and I don't like to work on them unless I'm feeling motivated to work on them, because I don't do my best work if I'm being forced to do it. That's why I typically don't do customs. I just make dolls when I feel like it, and then I put them up for sale after they're made. Bernice asked me to add some coloring and all that to a doll that she'd purchased. She is also like currently the mommy to my Katja, who I had in my collection for a little while before I sold her. I sold her to Bernice, and she's become a good friend. And so I couldn't pass this up. She was fairly new to the doll world, and I really wanted to make the the experience enjoyable. So I really did want to work on this doll for her. It came like really pale, and it was just lacking some details, so I was happy to add those for her. And so today we are going to assemble her. She did want to have, I did get her this body custom made with the minky fleece, which I absolutely love. And Katja's has this, and now Sydney Rose will have this as well. Let me go ahead and show you. Her hair is, I actually just washed it, so it's nice, but it's all poofy right now. I'll have to style it. But she did want it a bit on the long side. And it's such really nice lush hair. I see some areas that I'm going to have to trim. They're a little bit longer than the others, so I'll get to that later. But I didn't want to cut it too short. She says she liked the length for now, and it's better to have it too long than too short, because she can always give it a trim if she needs to. I will show her better once she's all put together. I'll style her hair and take some pictures. I think I have some before pictures, so I can do some before and after pictures. Her ears have been pierced. She has some really cute little diamond earrings. And the one thing about vinyl piercing vinyl dolls is that you can't put the backing on them, because typically, and same in her case, the lobe is usually attached directly behind. So this goes directly in. So just to replace the earrings, you basically just have to pull it out and then replace it with a different one. So you can't clasp it in the back, but the vinyl is hard enough where it holds it in place, which is fine. Like if she wanted these in permanently, they would stay without issue. She does have her eyelashes as well. I did keep them a little bit on the long side. Bernice said she did like them, and of course if she would like to give them a trim later on, she can. But anyway, I'm loving her. She's really cute. She did turn out super cute. Once I assemble her, I'm going to take her in, and I'm going to be glossing the areas that need to be glossed. But let's go ahead and get her assembled here. So I apologize for the shadow it seemed to be creating. I wonder if I turn it this way, if it might help a little bit. That's a little bit better, right? There we go. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to fill the limbs with glass beads. I'm going to take the polyfill. I stuck this polyfill down in here, whoop, for the reason of, since she was previously reborn, she had some glass beads down inside, and I don't like, it's extremely hard to like wash out glass beads. They wind up just sticking inside and they're always there. So during the painting process, I always stuff this down inside so that it's not leaking out everywhere and causing issues with the painting and all that. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out. Okay, so now we are going to, I'm actually going to move her head to the side and the body, and right now we're going to focus on just filling up the limbs with glass beads. A little bit, so I'll see the rest of the mess. So I have a bucket of glass beads off to the side, and I basically wound up using just this little half cup, yeah, to pour some in. And I typically like one half cup scoop for a newborn size is typically enough. I might add just like a touch more. Another good rule of thumb is like maybe a little bit above the knee is what I usually go for. Not too heavy, not too soft. And then you want to stuff this pretty tight when you do it. Not that you necessarily came for a training video, but figured if you're watching and you want to know how to assemble. I do have some other videos on assembling as well. I know I've done silicone. I don't know if I've done vinyl before, so there we go. So we want to make sure that it's not overstuffed, but you want to make sure it's pretty tight. I remember when I first started assembling, I watched a video and they were saying, oh, don't stuff it too full because you don't want to lose its shape. And while that's true, it would be very, very, very hard to lose the shape because the vinyl is obviously a stiffer medium. But you do want it enough to where you're not able to, you know, you want it to squish like a thigh would, but you don't want it to be super squishy. So this is filled pretty nice. So there's still like a little bit of movement, but you don't want it to be like this. Not like that. More like this. Just a little bit of squish to it. Alright, so let's go ahead and fill this one. Alright, that's perfect. I personally don't use plugs. I know some people do. Some people are kind of adamant about it. But I've never, ever, ever, ever run into the issue of like, you know, the polyfill and the glass beads leaking out of the limbs. I have had it on like my Ashton Drake Emmalise doll. I've had it with her, but she has the ball jointed limbs with just like a little hole, and it honestly is so hard to get enough polyfill stuffed in there. But in terms of like this, I never run into the issue of, I really don't think a plug would make a difference. I guess if you filled your glass beads all the way up to here, you would need a plug because you would be running the risk of, but glass beads are not going to come out of here as long as you stuff them well enough. And again, it's got pretty much no squish to it, which is what you, I mean, the vinyl makes it squish, but you don't, you want it to be firm. is what I'm trying to say there. And the arms, I kind of do the same thing. I usually wind up filling it maybe like a little bit above the elbow. Yeah, actually a little bit more. It's not quite above the elbow, so this should do it. Yeah, I don't know if you can see down in there, but it's basically like right here, which is perfect. Unless you want your doll to be lighter, that's fine too. I used to make my dolls super, super heavy. Like, that's just what I liked. I liked really, really heavy dolls, but it is true that they wound up feeling more like like a really heavy dead weight feeling. But I mean, I still like a heavy doll, but I don't like it to be overly heavy. I used to, though. I used to love like 10-pound dolls, but I don't do that anymore. She will probably weigh like 6 pounds, but she'll feel like maybe an 8-pound baby. I don't necessarily aim for a certain weight as much as I aim for, I've just found that this is the more realistic feel is to always like do the glass beads up to here, do the glass beads up to here, and then in the body, usually I will measure the, like this compared to the body and do it like the section, the large, like the section of the tummy, and that usually helps in the overall making the baby realistic. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and put our leggies in. I've already put the cable ties through, and we're just going to add them on. Make sure the leg is positioned how we want it. There we go. There's still some movement, so if I need to adjust it later, I can. So I need this one. That's cute. Okay, let us go ahead and snip these off. Two. Very good. Alright, and now we'll move on to the arms. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and add some polyfill down into the tushy area so we can build it up a little bit. There we go. Got a little booty there with some mohair on it. Alright, there we go. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and add her arms. This material tends to be a little bit on the bulky side, so when I put the polyfill in, sometimes I shape it to around this area here with almost like a little, I don't know, what do you call that hole in the center? I cannot think today. And sometimes that helps with me figuring out where to place the arm. Yeah, that looks good. Perfect. Okay. No, that's too much. Remember when within like the first year I started reborning, I used to think that like you needed to measure up the crease of the arm with like the crease of the body with like the inside of the arm. I don't know why I thought that. Like I used to do that for all my babies. For some reason I just got that in my head that that's what you were supposed to do. I remember watching a couple tutorials, like when I very first got started. There's a few tutorials that I watched, and looking back on it now, I'm like, those were just bad advice tutorials. Because there were so many things that, I mean, I get what they were trying to say and what they were trying to do, but there were so many better ways of going about it. And then also, like, I took things so literally, because they were talking about, you know, be very minimal with the paint that you use and make sure it's really watered down. You could always add more paint, but you can't take it away. And so I was so like terrified of using paint that I would make them so thin down, and it would take me like 30 layers just to get enough flesh tone. It was ridiculous. So then I'd wind up, you know, almost ruining the vinyl due to all the heat that I was putting in between each layer when I would bake it. I'm gonna make these a little bit tighter so that they're not. There we go, that's better. That way they're not too flimsy. So. Still a little flimsy. Let's do one more. There we go. That's better. Alright. Yeah, just FYI, these little things here can be adjusted. So if it's too loose for you, because I know that I've had some babies where the legs and the arms just went flying everywhere. If you just squeeze them and you're basically moving this down here, it makes it tighter. You don't want it too tight, obviously. You want to be able to, you know, move the arms freely, but you don't want it so much that they're just, you know, flopping everywhere unrealistically. So, okay, so now, I do have a bag that I made of glass beads, so let me just see how this does, because we might wind up, you need to add more. I mean, that's a good weight. I might add a smaller amount up at the top. Also, funny enough, she came with this like random little tiny bag here, so maybe I'll put that somewhere too. Like, this came in her body and I saved it just in case. That's what we're going to do, is we're actually going to add some Angel Soft. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll add some Angel Soft when we get some. I'm going to say with these kind of bodies, you almost don't need it, but I'm going to add some anyway. I need to get some more of this good stuff right here. Yeah, that's good stuff. We're going to add this in here. Into the back. This is what I like to mold around the glass beads. It's much easier to work with, and it's ridiculously soft. I highly recommend it for like the tummy areas, and just all around the glass beads. Yep, that's actually perfect. I mean, she's got a good weight to her. But I think I'm still going to put one more thing of glass beads. This is obviously too small. I'm not going to use this. So I thought about putting it in her somewhere because it came with her, but nope. So I'm going to go ahead and fill another thing of glass beads here. I won't do a big one, but we're going to add some more weight to her. I want her to feel real. Let me see if that will suffice. You actually need a little bit more. You know what I might wind up doing? I might actually wind up not using this one. I don't remember why I had this pre-made. I think I'd rather have like a longer one. I'm going to take this out so we can wrap it around this new one. I'd rather have a long one that goes like completely up instead of having two up the center of her body. Let's do that. And we'll just make sure we got some good weight on it. There we go. Yeah, look how much bigger that is. This one will be much nicer. And we are going to double it over. And I tie it near the top so that it's flexible. So that way, whoop, that way it's flexible and it goes all the way through. That's what I like. That's better. Oh yeah, that's much better. Let's do that. That's better. Okay, so now we'll put the Angel Soft in. And I'll just save that other glass beads for another baby. Oops, it'll probably fell everywhere. I haven't even been checking to see that you've been able to see in the camera, so I hope the angle's been okay. I'm sorry about that. Make sure she's proportionate. Make sure glass beads. She needs some in the back. A little bit more back there. Oh yeah, that feels super nice. Okay, so now I'm going to cinch this up just a little bit. I'm going to add some thicker polyfill at the top. And we're going to get ready to weight her head. Just a little bit. Yep, she's feeling good. Okay. Okay, got her arms. We'll see now. Actually, no. I was gonna say maybe this would fit her head, but I think this is gonna want to be. This might actually be big enough, though. I'm gonna try it. This is another one I had pre-made. If it's too heavy, then I will, of course, remove it and we'll try something different. But I'm gonna work with what I got for now. Actually, I think that's going to work nicely. That's actually got a really nice weight to it. So this is what we're going to use. So I basically just had a stack pre-made. But that was probably about a full cup's worth. So now, I'm going to... I got the... ooh, what was that? I got the glass beads down in there, so now we are going to just fill up the polyfill around her and make sure that it is snug inside. You don't want to have a loose head that's squishy. We don't want squishy heads. We want realistic heads. Okay. You got so much hair. So pretty. Pretty girl. Alright. It actually feels really good. Just add a little bit in the back and we'll be good with your hair. Okay. Some in the back. There we go. Yep, that actually feels really good. Okie dokie. So now we are going to put her head back on. And put her head on. Not back on. It hasn't even been on yet. Oh my goodness, so cute. Oh, it's so cute. Hi, Sydney. Move her hair out of the way. You can use a neck ring for this, but it's not completely necessary. Because, I mean, you basically want to make sure that the head isn't so loose that it'll pop off, but you also want it to be enough to where you can turn the head, and this is actually perfect. So her head turns, as you can see, but it's in like no possibility of it coming off. Oh my goodness, look at you! Look at you! You're so sweet. Alright, so let me cut her cable tie. What did I do with my, here you go, my cuticle clippers here. Alright, so now what we are going to do is we are going to actually go inside, because I keep the gloss in my room so that it's not temperature affected. So we are going to put her in and we are going to gloss her, and then we're going to let her dry overnight, and then tomorrow we will be able to do her box packing. Woo! Anyway guys, well, I'm actually I'll probably make the glossing part of this video, so we will see you inside.